Hey everyone, this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you by Autotempest.com. Autotempest.com really takes a lot of the legwork out of finding the perfect car, whether you're actually looking for a new car, a used car, or whether you're just doing what I do and browsing about the internet. Autotempest.com is here to help you out. Why? Because normally you have to go to every different site that sells cars and repeat your search terms. You go to cars.com, eBay, CarSoup, Cars Direct, etc., and then you have to type the same stuff in all over again. It's annoying. Autotempest.com, you fill out the form once, it searches all those sites for you, and then compares the results from AutoTrader and all of Craigslist nationwide. Not just locally, folks, all of Craigslist nationwide. So you can find the exact car you want for the best price without wasting a ton of your time browsing around to all of these different sites. They streamline the process, folks. Autotempest.com, I use them. It is a great time killer for me, and I suggest you have a look at it as well. And how about Beeline Coffee? It's our favorite coffee. It's the most delicious. It's single origin. It's micro-brewed. They have dark roast, light roast, medium roast, decaf, espresso. They got all the products there. And if you use code TST at checkout, that's easy. It's code TST at checkout. I'll give you 15% off your entire order. Whether you're just buying one single bag of coffee, maybe you want to try the Smoking Tire Roast, it's delicious, or maybe you want a year-long subscription so that Beeline Coffee just shows up at your place every month for a whole year, or anything in between. Code TST will get you 15% off your entire purchase at Beeline Coffee. My new podcast, the Watch and Listen podcast, is now live in audio and video form. You can search for it on iTunes. You can search for it on youtube.com/Watch and Listen podcast, all written out. Me and the watchmaker Cameron Weiss talking about everything that goes into the world of watches, whether it's mega high-end Audemars Piguet Grand Complications or entry-level Seikos, Russian stuff, even digital watches. We talk about all of it, not smartwatches. We don't do smartwatches because smartwatches, it sucks. It's not our thing. Check out the Watch and Listen podcast on iTunes, Android platforms at shoutengine.com/watch and listen, or the video version on YouTube. Subscribe. Please subscribe at youtube.com/watch and listen podcast. Lastly, Saturday, March 24th, I will be appearing at HooptyCon at the 24 Hours of Lemons Sonoma. That's pretty much all day on Saturday, March 24th. Come out, watch some shitbox racing, say hello to me. There's a barbecue contest. I think they're cooking barbecue on engines, if I'm not mistaken. There's a crap can film contest. There's a Radwood themed 80s and 90s car show, and I'll be there along with your pal Mike Musto, some of the other San Francisco auto writers contingent. If you would like to come say hello, that's Saturday, March 24th at Sonoma Raceway. Come say hi. And now, on with the podcast. This is a cool episode of this show. We have a very interesting guest. My friend Karl Muth is on the program today. Karl is a serious diehard car guy who has been on many adventures. He has that LS swapped Jaguar that everyone loves so much on the one takes. He's a Toyota truck fan. He has been around the world. He's a philanthropist. He's an entrepreneur, and he is quite the character. So here, enjoy this episode with Mr. Karl Muth. Karl looks like me after AIDS.
It's too tan though.
But yeah, like a healthy, recovering on the way up.
after the magic drugs.
On the upswing.
You got dengue fever.
Yeah.
For 2 months.
This is it now. Ready? Smoking Tire Podcast. Starting. Knock wood. We're gonna make it through this one. I promise you. Zachary in the studio.
A whack against the limiter right there.
Karl Muth in the studio. What's happening, brother?
Hey, not much.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
The philanthropist, project car builder, wearer of amazing striped pants.
Guy striped pants.
Spouse of a
work
Hannah,
as well
just
on
like
the
me.
Podcast, yeah.
This is a video podcast.
Oh, well,
stand up on here now. We're on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom, the pants.
Striped pants.
I feel like your hierarchy was unfair there.
He knows how to fucking dress. This guy. He knows how to dress. And I feel like you don't. It's not like you just go out and blow cash on clothes either. You just know how to put it together right.
I try.
You're a man of style.
Well,
I have a shopper. It's the terrible part.
Do you have a shopper?
I actually do have
really?
a shopper, yeah.
How's that? Is that nice?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Does it work out?
Yeah, her name's Samantha.
And does she know you like very well?
Huge credit to Samantha at Barney's.
Never mind. But I was like, you don't even spend a lot of money. Like, oh wait, yeah, you do.
But no, get this. She's been my shopper at Barney's for 13 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And she doesn't like own Barney's now,
Right?
It's not called Samantha's yet, is it?
That was Jennifer Aniston's job in Friends for like 3 seasons.
Oh yeah, and then
like
she went. And then she went to work for Ralph Lauren.
That's right. That's very weird. But you're clearly a man with aesthetic taste because with the Jaguar is like everything's you got the calligraphy. I know that's not even the right term.
Oh,
but
I wanted to make
like
him
things
right.
that look nice.
Thank you for reminding me. We need to make Carl right while he's here. We need to prove it. I had to lace a fucking shoe, and if I had to lace a shoe to prove that I could do it, Carl needs to write like 3 sentences. I put your handwriting on Instagram because I didn't believe it was real. Where?
And it's real.
What prep school do they teach you to write like that?
George Washington Prep School of George Washington.
Yeah, you need to start out. You just start out with a grandmother who really gives a shit about how you write.
Really?
That was like number one, probably. Yeah.
I mean,
I had the most preppy like grandma upbringing, like reciting poetry and like learning French and Latin and like
that's hilarious.
All that shit
at home with grandma.
At home with grandma,
like a classical training.
I had a pretty preppy upbringing, period, but at home with grandma as well. Yeah.
Tim, keep going. You'll find it if it's right there. I have a sample that you sent me.
Sample we can bring.
You
got to
keep finding it. But like,
these are my George Dijon class notes at Harvard on the right. Yeah.
That is so. Your notes like. Because you sent me and Hannah a thank you note, and I forget what it was for, but it was the handwriting. Hannah opened it and went, "This isn't a human that you know, right?" Like, and your notes from Harvard look like the Constitution. I mean, honestly, like no one writes like that. It's so crazy.
How do you send mail through time? I feel like you're 1500s Carl, and he's like, "Dear Matthew Farah, you will one day be the successful entrepreneur of a YouTube
Every
channel."
time someone opens a letter, they say, "Great Scott!"
I imagine like Horatio Pagani probably is a font like that.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
like people like that.
Yeah,
probably.
If not the Constitution, I was gonna say like Da Vinci. It's a very Da Vinci.
Like
Can you write as fast as a normal person with that style?
I mean, yeah. I don't think
crazy.
people can actually write that fast.
I bet if you wrote a
true.
not guilty plea for a ticket in that handwriting, they're just like, I'm not fucking with this guy, then let him go.
You can't write tickets to people on horseback. What are you doing?
It's like you're one of those people. We have friends that are from the 1800s, and John Bothwell is from the 1800s,
exactly.
and then you're from the 1800s.
Yeah, you could write his brochure for whatever car he would make back then.
I mean, you've got your. Like Cameron Weiss has his 1800 skills.
Yeah.
You got actually a couple people probably.
Yeah,
like
we
machinist
have
level people.
Some
who
tradesmen.
Yeah. Like,
What is your other than your handwriting? Do you have another 1800s level skill?
I don't think so.
Can you like cite? Like, can you turn like an engineering drawing into a building or something?
Sadly, not. No, I can weld pretty well.
That's a good skill.
Not really an 1800 skill though.
Zach went to like intro to welding class.
Yeah, did Meg. It was cool.
Did we ever actually talk about how that went? Was it fun?
It's real fun.
Did you
weird.
feel like you can do anything practical now?
I would want to do more practice, like before I build a cage or something. But
if we were lemons racing, do you feel like you could repair something? Maybe.
Yeah.
Would you then get in the car and drive it?
I'd have to. But
when you get in the car and crash it?
Yeah.
What's nerve-wracking though is welding on a car while there's still gas in the tank, and I know that the heat doesn't transition all the way, but that is something I would need to read up on before.
Where did we do that?
Let's fix this bracket.
What race did we do that in? Oh, I don't think you were there. I think that was when I raced at Chump Car Road America when there was a snow red flag.
I was not there.
We talk about build quality though, like stuff has changed so much. Like you look at welds now, and you look at welds on like your Fox body.
Oh,
or
dude.
like whatever.
That's an example of particularly egregious bad welding.
But that's when Ford was quality was job 1, right?
Quality was job 16, I think. Remember the precision never rests. The sign above the Corvette
We went
door?
to the Magnaflow factory, and they have like all the machines, the robots that weld now, and it's it just turns the thing, and it's a perfect just laser, bzz, and every bead is the exact same size, and it's just a circle, and it spits it out.
Robot welders are the shit.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what's happening with cars, too.
Dude, the new JL Wrangler, if you look at the welds on the door seams, it's just dink, 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 and it's not consistent either. It looks random as hell. At least
it looks random?
I haven't seen it in person.
I feel like it was engineered by someone.
Mm-hmm.
Someone thought of something,
one
right?
would hope.
No, there's a
so
robot
much
that
time
did
and
that.
effort into that.
Yeah.
One would hope. You're a Jeep guy, right? Or you're a Toyota guy?
I've never had a Jeep. I've actually never had... Trying to think if this is true. I don't think I've ever had an American car, and I know you have like some latent patriotism.
I don't. I have latent patriotism. I have mild patriotism.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
True.
Like, I've never owned a front-wheel drive car. I don't
Never?
No, I don't think I've ever owned an American car.
So, well, you know
Here's
what?
like a
You're rich enough where neither of those things really comes into play. At a certain point, reality has to set in. But that's not to say that you don't. Your cars aren't like snob. Your truck is bitching.
Yeah, I mean it's not
Pull that up, Timmy. You kind of got like well known in the Toyota forum for doing this Tacoma that like really is delightful.
Well, I get stopped more in the truck than anything else. Though honestly, after the one take with the Jag-Aired, I started getting people like.
Oh, were you get pseudo celebrity stopped? Well, I mean, because you're such a good character
I get gas
too.
station stopped.
Oh, okay,
people are like, "Oh, that's cool," and like.
How is that car? That Jag?
Awesome. So it's 5,200 miles on from when we drove it together. Shifter rattle's fixed. Since
that got fixed like immediately. Didn't that get fixed in 2 seconds? Yeah. Just some metal plastic thing.
Plastic retainer clip in the shifter itself.
Oh, that's good to know. There it is in the snow.
Such an awesome car.
There's the snow. So I've got on Sato Zeros there. I put the tire size on it. Oh yeah, it's now available in 275 for the rears. That's
what did you have on there before?
I was running 255 Michelin snows last year, I think.
How is it in the snow?
Ooh.
It's great.
Is it?
It's great.
Sure.
I mean, it's got limited slip.
So it's all right.
Yeah.
It's heavy, it's long. It'd be so much fun.
It's actually not heavy. What's funny, one of the misconceptions about XJ is that's a steel, it's the final steel body XJ, and people are like, oh, it must be so heavy. It's actually lighter than the first gen aluminum car.
Because it's smaller?
The X308 had to be so heavy, I think, to meet crash standards and stuff.
Oh, maybe.
Because like nobody was building aluminum cars. If you look at the history of all aluminum cars, you've got the NSX.
Yeah.
They've got the D2 generation Audi
A8, I was going to say. Yeah, and then this Jag.
You've got like the Jag in, 03 or something.
So they hadn't figured it out yet.
I think they just hadn't figured it out yet. And if you
So what does it actually weigh?
Mine weighs like 34 something.
Oh, it's that light?
Wow.
Oh, I did not realize it was that light.
First gen aluminum cars like 3,900.
Is yours light? I don't remember because it's been 2 years, but is yours lighter than it was stock?
It is lighter than stock.
Yeah, because it had an iron block, right?
Took a lot of stuff out. No, the 4-liter was an all aluminum.
Oh, it was?
motor.
Okay.
Was an all aluminum motor. It did have iron liners, I think.
Where'd you get the weight out of it? 'Cause that's a huge drop.
The ZF Trans that was in it's almost 400 pounds.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
T56 Magnum is, I think 210 with fluids. And then
Get a little closer. Stay a little closer to the mic, buddy.
Sorry.
I'm trying to make you consistent. I
Sorry.
see Timmy's got to work over there. I want you to tell your
yeah.
story, but I want them to hear you, bro.
So you save a lot of weight in the Trans and some of the other stuff that we did. The interior, we took out a lot of just stock sound deadening and other crap.
I really like that you use those RS4 seats. Was that right in the back and the front?
Audi seats.
Audi
yeah.
seats. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really clever solution to modernizing the seat and not having to go like custom design your own interior padding. What do you want to design for? Like find one that kind of fits and
That car has kind of a high floor. Actually, the space is unique. Most luxury cars are it's sort of like pancaked a bit. You don't have a lot of room to work with.
It's a shorter greenhouse than you think. And I
me.
feel like now sedans are almost built with a high waistline to almost feel SUV-like.
Well, it's crash standards.
You know?
It's the side impact standards, and the more shoulder and the less glass and blah, blah, blah.
Well, and I think there's a stylistic, I forget the gentleman's name. I met him in Detroit last week. Who designed the 300C?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the first big step into high belt line.
He's a huge proponent of those shapes, and I mean it's almost like the upside down of the Aston ratios.
Yeah, the thirds, the rule of thirds. Yeah, it's with 300C is like the rule of fifths, and it's just like
John Varvatos.
John.
I'm reading the. Oh, sorry. I read the first link I saw, and it was like John Varvatos.
So unintentionally
and then I saw
awesome.
300C.
That was kind of awesome. John Varvatos edition
Limited
300C.
edition.
At first, I was like, "You're an idiot," and then I was like, "Great deadpan," and then I was like, "No, wait, you're an idiot."
I have no idea who that guy is.
He's a clothing designer.
makes
Steinman wears exclusively John Varvatos.
This
Oh,
guy.
Ralph Gilles did it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Ralph. Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
He did.
That's what it says on
Yeah.
the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
He designed the 300C.
Yeah.
Or it was
Fuck,
John
I did not know.
Varvatos.
Or I think he was working with John Varvatos.
Okay, underneath the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're co-EPs.
Yeah, and Barney did the engine, right? Whoever Barney.
Samantha was on it. Wait,
So,
so this truck, what is your background in off-roading? Because you have one, right?
Not like competitively or anything.
No.
So in 2012, in 2010, I moved from London to Uganda to do my PhD fieldwork, and
Which was in what?
economics.
Oh, in Uganda?
In Uganda. I was actually working with a bank, an Asian bank there, building insurance products. So if you're like a poor farmer and you have a really shitty year and there's a drought, whatever, there's insurance for that.
Oh.
But how is that insurance product going to be designed? How are we going to make it so it's cheap enough that people living on $2 or $4 or $6 a day can afford it? How are we going to structure the policy and make sure that they get paid and they don't get ripped off because then they're going to starve? And so working on all
There's
these things.
something you never think about. Insurance for farmers in Uganda. Okay.
So started working on that. I was in the development economics area at the London School of Economics, which is called the Development Studies Institute at the time. And I was just like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then, of course, I'm a car guy. So my first thought is, I'm going to be in Uganda for 30 months. What am I going to drive? So...
That you have the fork in the road, right? You have to be Team Land Rover or Team Land Cruiser.
Right. So
the two shall pass.
So first instinct.
One road goes farther than the other. Right?
So first instinct was Hilux D4D. Okay,
absolutely.
that's a good choice. And then I learned that they're actually really hard to get. They were like sold out. Like 8 agencies in the UN and whoever basically buys every Hilux D4D in Africa. Oh. So like, yeah, you could talk to a Toyota dealer in Kampala and get a 9-month waiting list. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Like it's a GT3 RS. Like,
right, yeah.
You're going to have to pay over. Like, look, it's going to be like $150,000, but
That's
maybe.
That's the V8 diesel, right? D4D?
No, that's the four-cylinder turbo diesel.
Oh,
yeah.
Ford diesel.
Do you even like Toyotas, Tim?
Nah.
Jesus.
Nah.
Is that the one you had, the Hilux that was in Iceland?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Doesn't the Land
good.
Cruiser have a... I thought the Land Cruiser had a D4D.
Land Cruiser has a 300 TDL available, which is also in the Hayachi van. It's mid-engined in the Hayachi van.
I've been in those vans. Those vans rock.
And then it's front-engined in the, I think starting with the 80 series Land Cruiser, you could get the 300 TDL, and then their subsequent generations of the engine. They're excellent engines. So yeah, they're 3-liter.
I'm guessing you went Land Cruiser, by the way, by the direction.
So couldn't figure out what to do, and then I'm like, I'm bringing all my stuff over with me, and the stuff is going to be in a container. If I don't bring that much stuff, I could fit a vehicle in like the first 18 feet of the container and put my boxes of belongings in the rest of the container. So I start with this FJ Cruiser as a platform, which we have pictures of. And
are they on the
they're
USB
on the drive?
stick?
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave this thing there So let's just make
You
it.
just planned.
Yeah, I just planned like I'm going to abandon it there.
Okay.
Or it's going to get crashed, or I'm going to hit a gazelle with it.
It ain't coming home.
Something's going to happen. So I'm just going to overbuild like crazy, right? So like dual radiator setup, like every possible thing.
It's funny, that's
there
not
it is
what I
with
would-
some monkeys.
That was an FJ. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Look at that.
Ooh.
It's a nice looking FJ.
So
We're bringing the picture over, people.
long travel suspension, stage 4 suspension on remotes.
Yeah, that's
everything.
serious.
Cool.
If you were planning to leave it there, then why were you overbuilding it so it would survive and then you'd abandon it? Because it seems like if I was going to abandon a car, I'm not going to like
Put
make
money
it as reliable
into
as
it.
possible.
So make it as reliable as possible in this context. Make it reliable as possible in this context meant make it super over-radiated, super bulletproof. Like this thing ran an F-250 tow package oil cooler, ran like everything you could possibly. Because this was.
Do you need those things in Uganda?
So I was living in Gulu, which is this village in northern Uganda, and you're 0.8 degrees above the equator.
Oh.
So there are times where it's 140 ambient.
Oh. And like humid, right?
Yeah.
Is
So
Uganda
like
humid? It is.
So you're near the Nile. So there'd be times where I would drive up to South Sudan to Juba, and the war was still going on during the start of this. I was actually the only person carrying a Sudan and South Sudan visa at one point.
Globally?
Globally, I was told I was the only passport that had those two visas in it.
Neat.
So I'd show up in this FJ Cruiser. No one in this part of the world's ever seen FJ Cruiser. It was never sold in East Africa. Mm-hmm. So people are like, "Oh, what is that thing? Oh, you're a weird white person in a like silver car."
Probably looks pretty futuristic, right? Weren't there SUVs at the time like pretty utilitarian and basic?
For there, there's you walk into a showroom there, they're still selling the 70 series Land Cruiser, brand new.
When was that last sold in America? Timmy, do you know?
70s?
84, 80?
In the 80s, and,
Yeah.
and they're still selling that brand new.
If you look up Land Cruiser, if you look up a Land Cruiser FJ72, I think that would be the correct
We'll find it.
The
designation.
LC200 Land Cruiser does have a D4D V8 diesel. It's the 4.5 liter, just to make my ego feel better on the radio.
Cool. Way to be.
Point, Timmy.
Nicely done. But yeah.
So wait, what's the driving, other than being really hot, what's the driving like in Uganda?
Driving's awesome. So you're driving on the left.
And your car presumably was a
My
left-hand
car is
drive car.
LHD car.
LHD.
Yeah. You don't want to try that like left on red thing.
Yeah.
But the great thing is I ended up building pretty close to the perfect car for the environment because it was super hot during the day. When it did rain, it rained like crazy. So it wasn't unusual that you'd be fording 10, 12 inches of water consistently.
So the lift and the big tires were more for like water than it was actually for like proper off-roading.
For off-roading,
and wheeling.
exactly, yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
And I knew I was going to run this thing. Well, I'd planned I was going to run this thing 30 months in these conditions with no oil changes, no anything, like sealed system, right?
Okay.
And
which you're not probably running the engine particularly hard in these circumstances. You're really just cruising around, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's possible.
You drive from Kampala to Gulu. That's a 7-hour drive in, let's call it 100-degree ambient temperature.
Paved?
Parts of it paved. And you're running most of the time in two-wheel drive.
Okay.
And you're almost never running locked. So
Okay.
you really aren't, drivetrain stress, you really aren't putting that much pressure on the truck. But then after about a year, honestly, I kind of got bored and I sold it and decided I was going to do a pickup project because all the cool kids had pickups.
Okay.
And then I built the pickup.
Do you, as a presumably like, one of the very few FJs in Uganda, is that worth a premium when you go to sell that?
Yeah, I sold it to a super sketchy dude.
You definitely sold it to a drug lord or arms dealer.
Who I'm sure still has it.
Does it now have a turret mounted on
Right?
it?
Yeah. How many
Or is
gold
it-
AKs fit in
or,
the back?
Yeah, or was it, craned onto some shady ass yacht,
Totally.
off of Madagascar or something?
So when you real quick, when you build the truck or the other thing, you put on all the F-250 oil cooler. If any of those things fail, how hard would it be to replace that part out there?
Out there it would be hard, but I had enough people who were constantly going places that it wasn't as hard as you'd think.
So it's like be funny, like your coworker flies back to London for a meeting. You're like, oh, can you bring me back? F-250 oil cooler?
I brought stuff from London. Like, all right, so funny story. I was next to Jeremy Clarkson on a plane once, on flight 62 British Airways, between London and Uganda, and they were shooting that Uganda episode.
Which was that? Which was Uganda? Was that the source of the Nile River?
Yeah,
it was, right?
So the Nile comes from a place called Jinja in central Uganda, and it's not what you'd think. You'd think the source of the Nile must be some like Garden of Eden, like amazing, like oasis in the middle of the desert. No, it's just like a village somewhere where the river starts, and it's pretty unremarkable. So
it's like a snowball. Like when a snowball begins, it's it's like a little fucking golf ball. It's like nothing. It's only when it rolls through a whole city and trashes your house that it becomes a big deal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. No, it's so anyway, yeah, it was fine. I was just I have this picture because I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Clarkson, but I'm like, oh, it's Jeremy Clarkson. I should talk to him. I'm a car guy, whatever. And he was like totally not in the mood to talk.
Listen, I know the feeling.
And I was like, okay, I'll just like be here. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I got just this vibe that like, hey, it's a job. I have to go to Africa for my job. I'm not happy about it.
Well, I mean, look, his misery is a central plot point of many episodes.
Oh, totally.
He was just he's a method actor.
I'm not surprised. That show is physically, it seems very, very gnarly sometimes.
Yeah, especially if you're a hamster.
Yeah, well, if you continually have many crashes.
They do some serious long days, and that's why in the Grand Tour when they did we've been driving all night in the dunes in the first series.
Yeah.
I felt like you could smell that it was more fake because they didn't have the face and attitude of we've been driving for
haggard,
18 goddamn. Right, they didn't look as haggard.
Well, that's sort of my issue with the Grand Tour versus Top Gear was that the producers, the character, the antagonist, and somewhat real antagonist, the BBC, by having that battle, it put them in situations sometimes where they were forced to do things they really didn't want to do. Whereas on the Grand Tour, it seems like everything they're doing, they want to do, and it's peachy, and they've got all the money on the planet.
It smells like tourism.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, what's funny is I had a very similar experience to your retelling your experience with Lexus, which is I would continually, and I had access to, somewhat good relationships with manufacturers. Well, I would reach out to Toyota and be like, hey, by the way, I just drove a Hilux from Juba, South Sudan to northern Somalia, and the truck did great, and here's some like notes for my outing and whatever. And nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Congratulations, truck did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, it was just
that's a good point.
Totally unremarkable to them.
Yeah, no, they didn't give a single flying fuck when I offered them a Lexus. They're like, we got them. I'm like, yeah, but the ones you have no miles on it. That's not the virtue of that car. And they go, yeah, but
I feel like
better paint.
I feel like Lexus might have an LS400 motor that ran 200,000 miles on a bench.
Why?
In testing.
Oh, probably.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they've got motors that have run more. I mean, if some dealer took in one on trade with $1.5 million on it, someone might have done a teardown or something if it was one of those kind of situations. They all go to the Middle East, dude. They're all in Oman.
Totally.
All of them. I don't.
Have you been to Oman?
Yeah,
It's
they all
great.
drive Lexuses.
Yeah.
That's sort of Thaddeus is over in Dubai now, and he's working on a gig with Emirates Airlines,
Cool.
and they're promoting their car shipping service. And so he's trying to nudge in that Emirates should ship the Lexus to Dubai from here, and then we'll drive it. We'll go drive it in Oman
Drive it
and hit
to
a million.
Muscat.
Yeah, and hit a million miles in Oman, and then give it to like a goat herder or something.
It's like Finding Nemo. It needs to return home. It's like, this is where you belong.
Bro, I guarantee you, there's Lexuses in Oman that have like
believe
3
you.
million miles on them. That they don't have internet, so no one knows about them. But like, definitely.
They're on their 20th AC condenser.
Yeah.
300. There's a warehouse somewhere that was full of power steering pumps for LS400s. So wait, so did you sold that FJ and
Sold
this is the truck?
FJ. Yeah,
that you-
bought this truck, and I've decided the truck is in my never sell.
And
I have a few things in my never sell category.
wait,
Trucks
you
in
buy
the-
this thing in Uganda?
No.
Okay.
So I bought this from Continental Toyota outside Chicago. And
Did you buy it new?
bought it new, ordered it.
Second gen Taco?
For those listening, it's a Tacoma of what year?
This is a 2012 model year Tacoma.
Not everyone has video.
It looks like, I don't know, it looks like somehow they brought back a
It's an 80s
2012
throwback.
Right, the 80s throwback. Will you pull up the photo of the front grille? It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
a new McFly mobile.
Yeah, it's the white
Yeah.
opposite of in the Spy versus Spy with the Marty McFly truck. This is the white Spy versus the black Spy, and it's newer, but it's basically that style. But it needs some KCs on the light bar.
Well,
So
it also needs a triple bar roll bar. which would be
So all
the,
those graphics are hand painted and under clear coat.
Those are really?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
that's
no
neat.
vinyl anywhere on the truck.
That's extremely cool. And you just started with a white one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Just start with a white one.
So
That's
why
cool.
why this grill? This looks like you were filming Cobra 2 with Stallone,
Right.
And they were like, we got to make this truck look like it's from the future.
Can we make
Yeah.
this look a little more like a La Forza?
Right, totally.
Yeah, so
Are those
yeah,
FJ80 headlights?
FJ80 headlights, good
Nice.
spot. Yeah. I wanted something different. I didn't want to just steal a grill off some other Toyota model, and I wanted to be able to hide full width light bars back there
Where behind that grill?
behind that grill.
So that just like is a glowing Cyclops eye when you turn it
Yeah,
on.
exactly,
It really
yeah.
scares people.
Does that impede airflow in the radiator? Or
It
no?
does not as much as you'd think. They're a series of 4x5 light bars.
Okay.
But yeah,
Where does the air mostly come from underneath?
mostly
that
comes
bumper?
from underneath that
Okay,
bumper. Yeah,
cool.
and the it does have a second cooling element that actually goes down pretty far. There's a winch hidden directly behind the bumper.
Yes, I can see.
So, yeah.
Is the hook painted white? I'm looking from far away. Is the hook painted white?
No, the hook's
No,
like a red and blue.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm colorblind. Then I'm
No worries.
retarded. It's a dope truck though.
Yeah.
Everyone,
It's a fun thing.
Yeah, when you did the video with me, a lot of people were like, "That's the guy with that awesome truck." It's a well-known truck.
It is a well-known truck.
And
Yeah.
then you bob the back a little bit?
Yeah, it's a shorty bed. It's 20 inches shorter than stock.
Can you just buy a shorty bed?
You could buy one from a double cab short bed truck.
Oh, right.
But they actually don't match up as nicely as you'd like them to. These actually, another reason to use a Gen 2 Tacoma bed is they have the CFRP bed insert.
Uh-huh.
So you aren't dealing with metalwork on the inside.
Wait, so what bed are you using? Sorry, or did you cut
So
the original bed?
Cut the original bed.
Oh.
So you're using this carbon fiber reinforced plastic bed liner that's in there.
And that hides the cut.
Hides the cut, and you don't have to worry about corrosion on the inside of the bed the way you would with, the previous gen Tacomas. You have some rusting around the edge of the bed. You basically have to you either have to put new quarters on it, or you have to cut the whole bed apart.
Yeah.
Once you get a rust issue. So
That's a cool
a
solution.
little more resilient.
It's pretty awesome.
I mean, I don't really have any like half-built cars. Like I hate calling like single cars out, but I came very close to buying the red RWB car a couple months ago.
I don't know which one is the red one.
RWB Medusa.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it was up
That's
for
it.
sale.
Okay.
And the RWB cars are like,
It's not for you.
it's a cool body kit,
Yeah.
but none of the cars are fully built. Like when I think of a fully built
very
car,
rare. 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
One at a time.
When I think a fully built car, I think like you could show up at Amelia Island with this thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's not for you. You also can't. You're not the kind of person that can have just like someone's package. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to.
I need to build it.
You need to create something. Is that it? 993.
Yep, that's the car. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's a good-looking car as far as RWBs
That's
go.
actually that's not the car. That looks very similar car, but no. It has that same biplane wing, but that is a different car.
When you say not fully built,
If you search RWB Medusa, I think it'll come up.
Like, do people spend the money on like
I
a body
do think
kit,
that car has
suspension
like a
setup?
happy owner who's like working on it.
Okay, so it's like it's not done cohesively, complete. Like maybe they spent the money on the body kit and that's done, but they still need to give some sort of treatment to the interior to reflect the exterior.
Motor. I mean, I'm building a 911 right now. That'll be my. I added this up this morning in the shower, and I still wasn't sure I was doing the math right. I think my name's been on 17 911 titles in the past 10 years.
Wow.
So I've had a lot
for a record. You should have been on yesterday's show.
I've had a lot of 911s go through the garage. But,
yeah.
And it's funny which cars Porsche wants you to like feel like you're special about, and which cars are such commodity cars. Like, I remember I ordered one of the first 997.1 GT3s in the US. I think I had like the 9th customer ordered delivery car. And Porsche was like, oh, this is blah, blah, blah. You're special people, whatever. And then once the car arrives, nobody gives a shit about you.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, oh, well, but I was hooked. I loved that car. Never should have sold it. So then I ordered an RS, and then I sent the first one became a Sharkworks car and all sorts of stuff. And I don't know, I can't leave stuff alone. At the same time, I always want new stuff. So the combination of those things leads to owning like a lot of cars.
Yeah. I mean, at least you don't like ruin them.
I try not to. I try to improve them.
What else is... other than the Jag and the truck, is there another like crazy build that's happening right now?
Yeah. So I've got a like kind of secret like... shop's not allowed to take pictures kind of secret. 930 starting point. Full built 993 motor, 993 trans.
Fun.
Normally aspirated. With 993 RSR bodywork.
Oh, fun.
So I was
That'll
like,
be cool.
Instead of doing the RWB thing, keep it factory.
Yeah.
But still have like the wide body feel and whatever.
That's it. Yeah, that's fucking
Wow.
Karl sent me that and I was like, make it go away. What is this?
So this is an art piece that's in a private collection in Tasmania of all places.
We're looking at a 911 that got stung by massive bees. All the bees in the world.
It's the Violet Beauregard 911 after eating the gum and blowing up. It looks like you took a 911 and baked it like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Stay Puft Marshmallow.
So I think it's actually called Fat Car, this piece of art. It's like a well-known sculpture. And I was visiting this art collection in Tasmania, and I was like, that's Fat Car. And the people with me were like, what? Like, that's really ugly. What are you talking about?
Is it a real car under there?
It's a real 964 under there, I believe. Yeah.
I wonder if it drives. Can I get an exclusive test for Road and Track?
I wonder if they
convince Travis to go to Tasmania.
Yeah. I wonder if they push it into the gallery or if they can drive it.
I don't know.
Is it metal or fiberglass?
It's fiberglass,
okay,
for sure.
It's not,
or some other composite.
It is. It's very, very fucking ugly.
Yeah.
Wow, is that ugly?
It's like a beanbag chair that you just put a Porsche badge on the front.
At the same time, like you'd really want to drive that around at Pebble Beach,
right?
I would roll that.
Totally.
I mean, it's kind of great. It's like
throw a Beetle drivetrain in it and just like.
You think it has a motor? Probably has a motor.
Probably has a motor.
If Paula Deen was a character in Cars 4, I think that's what it would be.
That's funny.
It's funny, like, I don't know. I don't get into... I feel like everybody has an edge that they get into. Like, some people get into this car art. You know, like, you meet guys who have, like, amazing collections, and then it's like they ran out of cars they want or something, so then they start collecting these, like, $20,000 Bauhaus posters from, like, the 1940 99 Monaco GP, and it's like, are you really into posters? No, I just ran out of car stuff to collect. Like,
that's how you end up on the watch game. I mean, that's how we end up in the other studio here.
Yeah, well, the watch thing is at least like mechanical.
Yeah.
I would argue somewhat related, but I mean, like, I've never gotten into the memorabilia stuff. Like, I own stuff that's car related, but it's all related to experiences I've had.
Yeah.
You know, like I have like all my pit passes from, you know,
yeah, but you
GP.
don't have the whole broom of auto art models.
I don't. I've
got a couple.
I've Prost's 1990 Ferrari front end nose cone.
The nose cone?
Nose cone to cockpit. Yeah.
Really? Where do you get something like that?
My dad was an executive at a company that this is like this is an example of like manufacturer access, right? People are like, oh, how do you get in with Ferrari? Answer, you don't overpay like your local dealer for your 488. That's not how you make Ferrari your friend. No one in Maranello knows that you overpaid. Like, that's not going to help you. But my dad was a senior executive at a company that was a major Ferrari F1 sponsor.
Oh, that seems like a good way in.
And so they had this relationship, and it's crazy. Basically, you get executives from, I don't know, 10, 12 companies at the time, and like Marlboro got the best spots, right?
Yeah.
And then like...
Were they still doing cigarette liveries at the time?
Yeah. Then like Magneti Marelli gets a good spot, right? Because they're making the Trans.
Yeah.
And like Fiat gets a good spot because they're paying for the whole thing. And then everybody else has to fight for these other sponsor spots. Well, in 90, which was the year, it was like the Senna Prost like rivalry year.
The year it went to the Japanese Grand Prix, right?
That's right. And I think the last, would that have been the last year of a French F1 champion for like 10 years, probably. So anyway, somebody will correct me on podcast comments, I'm sure.
Kindly, I'm sure.
Really, in
So
the most polite way possible.
So it was also the start of like on-car cameras.
Yeah.
So you had what were like really shitty 1990 GoPro, basically, on the nose of the car looking back at the driver. And they had figured out, hey, we could put our logo on the back of the nose cone.
And it would be on
every
the
time
camera.
they show who's driving the Ferrari, you get your brand in the bottom of the TV screen, right? So Digital Equipment, Maynard, Massachusetts, bought that spot. And I just thought it was really cool. It's like
It's a brilliant idea. Yeah. What did Digital Equipment Maynard, Massachusetts make?
They were at the time the second largest computer company in the world behind IBM.
Fuck, really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we're known as Digital Compact and then HP Compact. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
So what you're saying is
that's what happened.
Compact, Hewlett Packard, that's what Digital Equipment
That's
is.
what they became.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they
So
became.
that's a small... Who were they again?
Yeah. I remember shortly after that, my dad left Digital Equipment and moved to what was then still a relatively small Microsoft, and
Which is now called Microsoft.
which is still called Microsoft. And I remember I like got hurt playing soccer, and this would have been, I don't know, I would have been junior high maybe, and it took me to the ER because we were in like one of these suburbs where everybody goes to the ER for no reason at all, and the doctor, who's like a med student or a well-educated person, I remember was like, got my health insurance card from my mom or whatever, and said Microsoft on it. They were like, oh, Microsoft, what do they do? So like, I remember when it was still like Microsoft, what do they do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
No, that's, a time before Microsoft was Microsoft.
But I mean, my dad's probably like the reason I am a project car guy and like grew up in car culture. And like, I mean,
Did he have sweet cars? I mean,
had
other
sweet
than-
cars.
He did?
Definitely
What
had
was,
sweet
what
cars.
was he rocking back in the day?
Back in the day, he met my mom when he was, this is such a great like pickup car, right? Like, oh, there's this hot girl. I'm just going to happen to be driving my like race car on the street moment.
What was the race car?
Selling
like-
Prost Ferrari.
So it's like, no, this is like springtime, I want to say like 68 or 69. And my dad was driving a 67 and a half, the last of the dual carb race Elans.
Oh,
The
yeah.
S2 would have been the 1600 E Elan, I believe.
Oh, late 60s Lotus was hot shit.
So it is like hot shit, like Lotus livery, like whatever.
Yeah.
So my mom has this memory of like, oh yeah, your dad was driving this like little British car. I'm like, yep, that's.
Lotus Salons are really, really cool. I would love to. I've never had a go in one. You ever drive one?
Yeah, of
they
course.
Awesome?
Yeah,
they sound.
You should
really
drive
cool.
drive a carbureted car.
Isn't that what Travis drove Boatwell the other day? A couple weeks ago?
He drove the a Sprite?
We drove two. The guy had the white
Sprite
Lotus.
and he drove a. Oh no, that was. What's the one with the later
like a cam
Alon
back.
has the weird back, the cam back?
like the yellow
Are you
car
talking
right
about
there.
an Europa?
Europa,
Oh, that's
the
right.
Europa. Yeah.
So an
God,
a Europa,
that's a Europa.
Europa
What a
is
weird,
kind of the red van
weird
look.
looking
Yeah.
car.
Kind of
I
red
just
van look.
don't. I mean, it's like you were trying to make a 914 without trademark infringing or something. Although, is it from before 914? It might be. I can't remember the date.
That's
It's weird looking.
It's like you told your kid about cambacks and he came back an hour later with like a drawing and you're like, okay, it's a start.
You understand the concept,
Right, yeah. It was like a long tail, but maybe do it again. And he's like,
That's an S3. Actually,
Others have
if you want
done
to see a really
much better.
pretty car on that chassis, look for a
Great.
Lotus Europa.
An Elan would be that's a good car to meet women in, I think. You're friendly, approachable, but also high performance, racy, Formula 1 champions back in the day.
Interesting. And they don't seem alike.
Yeah.
It's not like you're a Corvette person
Yeah.
again.
But yeah, I don't know. So he always had fun cars. Even like our family cars were always like pretty fun. I remember I kind of grew up in the back seat of an Audi 5000, white with blue fabric interior Audi 5000. That was a really nice car. And
It didn't occur to me until later that, like, did Audi 5000s just not fucking last, or did they make a lot less of them than I think they did?
They were like
now?
the A8. They were crazy fucking
They were
expensive
crazy
new.
expensive,
Yeah.
right? But
Crazy
like,
expensive new.
I knew a few people that had
They
them,
were
and I saw
double
them
the
around.
price of the Audi 4000.
Were they really?
Wow.
I
They're
was
like
too
the
young to
price
know
difference between A4 and A8.
I never really put that together. I remember seeing them around, but like
Or like the
and then they were
A3
gone.
and an A8. Yeah.
If a mint Audi 5000 today would probably sell and bring a trailer for a fuckload of money.
I bet it would.
But
yeah.
I knew a kid who he bought a used one in 2002, and he was doing work on it like every week, fixed steering column,
Yeah.
all the problems of Audis, and that was a couple $1,000 when he got it.
Those old Audis suck. I drove a Quattro once.
Oh yeah, we were
not
talking
on
about
camera.
Turbo Quattro Coupe, right?
It's
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, there's just so many
Is
better
that
options.
it's a don't meet your heroes situation.
Definitely. And it's the exact opposite of the Alfa Romeo Montreal I was driving the last couple
Yeah,
days.
that car looked
which
hot.
is something I never really had given a thought to before. But after spending 3 days in it, I'm like, oh my god, I need this. This is delightful. It's very, very. I'm so glad I just reviewed the footage last night. I'm so glad that it sounds as good on video that I was hoping. It sounds.
That's supposed to be because is that the GTV motor? Or that's
It's a 2.6 liter dual overhead cam V8
oh yeah, it's got to
that
sound
revs
great.
to 7,000 RPM and has no catalytic converters, like headers, proper headers on it, and center exit exhaust. And it sounds.
Sounds legit.
It sounds like a GT40 actually, like a small, like the early GT40s.
Yeah.
And speaking of fucking,
Have you ever driven a GT40?
I drove a Superformance one,
Me
which
too.
is, I think, a pretty decent approximation of how they drive.
By the way, way more than pretty decent. Have you ever talked to Lance Stander about that project?
No, I mean, I know that like
Yeah.
the parts are interchangeable with the real cars, and
It qualifies for vintage racing. 85% of the parts are interchangeable with the original race car. Yeah.
There-
Oh, that's cool.
The one that I drove was that Hillbank one, the black,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was badass.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Did you drive one of those?
I drove a big block Mark II car with the sill shifter.
Side shift.
Yeah.
So right hand drive, right hand shift.
Right hand drive, right hand shift.
That's the one to have if
That's
you really
the
want to
dope-
be a gangster.
That's the dope one
Yep.
to have.
They'll
yeah.
make them because they'll make them in any way you want. Left hand drive, center shift. Right hand drive, center shift. Right hand drive, sill shift.
Which is period correct.
Right hand drive, sill
Yeah.
shift would be so bitchin'.
Yeah.
Just to be like that one other thing that fucks people up.
Have you
also roadhead.
Have you
Because
ever
roadhead.
driven
Easy
like
for that.
GP? Have you ever driven like GP cars that had the sill shifters?
Just like the shitty Skip Barber cars, the little Formula Fords and stuff. Not like nothing real.
I drove for a very short period for 2 laps an ex-Jim Clark car.
Really?
That had, a Lotus.
Cool.
That had a right-hand sill shift. And you looked at it, it looks like this little knob sticking out of this, out of the tube. It's
just a rod on a rod, right?
Yeah, like it looks a way that made me think it was going to feel like an S2000 shifter. Mm-hmm. But really it felt like very agricultural.
This is not entirely
like it
surprising.
did not feel precise at all. Yeah.
Turns out not everyone can be Jim Clark.
Right. Yeah.
But you actually... That reminds me that you have like an awesome relationship with Lotus, right?
We have a good relationship with Lotus.
Yeah,
sure.
Didn't you drive that? You drove the T25. Was that what it's called?
Did not actually get to take a go in the T125, but did. I've driven multiple times the test track at Hethel in various GT cars and spec race cars, and actually on that visit, this was crazy to me because there were like two Evora GT4s in the world at the time, and they were both like factory dev cars.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, it's raining. Just be careful."
Yeah, I've heard that they have
like,
a pretty
what?
lax attitude about those sorts of things. I'm actually supposed to get the Evora 410 Sport on Monday.
Very cool.
Which is the first of those. It's weird. Like Travis already went to England and drove like the GT 430, like crazy one. Yeah. But the 410 is just getting here right now.
It takes forever. I bought a I've owned multiple Lotus Series 2 cars. I bought 3 of them in a couple of years. And, I bought the 260 Cup, kept it at my house in London. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy one to keep at the house in the U.S. when they come out in the U.S. Never came out. Like the 240 Sport was the best thing.
That was just the end.
So, but yeah.
I
kept the 260 Cup. That's a hot car.
400 was hot.
Yeah.
And the 410 is supposed to be even better. I'm very excited about the possibility. It's like my argument, if I can make it work, is that it's the new old NSX, right?
Yeah.
I think.
The new NSX is too different from the old NSX to be an NSX, in my view. I love it. It's like the most brilliant car.
Did you drive one yet?
I've driven one,
It's great, isn't it?
And the front logic around just how the front wheels work is so invisible to the driver. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it has the same level of magic, even more that a GTR does, but it does it so invisibly. Yeah, you don't know it's doing it. You think it's you.
Yeah, it's like it's like if Nissan did a Tezza version 19.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it actually is better.
I think
than
I
physics.
have a 260. I think I have a 260.
What is that, Tim? What Lotus is that?
410.
That's a 410.
That's a 410 with the JPS.
Wow, pull that picture up. That shit looks sexy. It's got a biggie mouth though, doesn't it? That's got a nice big Jay Leno chin on it.
I like that car. It's a really good job of keeping things kind of smooth and traditional, but adding a little bit of modernism to it instead of flame surfacing everything. And a lot of cars right now are just so busy, and that's I think about as smooth and simple as you can be in this time.
Needs a JPS stripe to go with the wheels.
Something else, right? A little more gold somewhere. Mm-hmm. Little bit of gold. I love those cars though. I wish there were more of them in America. It's just they don't. I think they don't have you can tell me
the dealer apparatus is the problem.
The dealer apparatus is not great, and my friends who do work at a dealer who have them say that they're tough to get financing on if you're not buying them in cash, because they just, a lot of companies will self-finance, Ford Credit or GM Financial or whatever. There is not a Lotus Financial. So
wow, the Community Bank of Hethel.
Yeah, Hethel Credit Union.
They should just band together with other
Lotus should partner with a bank, man.
Yeah, or right? is there like a Community Bank of Malvern Link? For mortgages.
Furthermore, it's not like there's a bunch of deadbeats buying Lotuses. It's not like the official car of posers with bad credit. That's not really the image they have.
Remarkably, it isn't, despite Pretty Woman.
That's a borrowed Lotus. That's why. By all accounts, Jason Alexander's credit is great. That's I just drove an Esprit, and while it was very fast, it was not my favorite Lotus.
The Esprit's one of those cars I've always wanted to love. I've never owned one.
I don't think you're missing out.
Danny Bahar has a beautiful one, probably the most perfect one. And it's white with a gray interior, and it is restored to showroom. Good and bad. Like,
no, guys, just back down that perfection.
See that panel
bit.
gap? That is factory
That's
correct.
a little too, I understand that.
The guy who does the paint on all my project cars, who is going to shoot the 911, and I mean, this guy is ridiculous. And he is
the guy who painted the Jag, I imagine.
Guy who painted the Jag.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen in person, but it was excellent. Because the badges and shit.
Yeah.
He's got
it's really
painted badges that are in the clear.
No, I know, it's real nice.
Dope.
But this guy's like multiple Amelia Island winner, like crazy paint jobs. And he will tell you, like, he'll shoot test panels and be like, so this is the correct level of orange peel for the 575 you bought. Do you want me to match that? Do you want it smoother than that?
Whoa.
Like, just crazy. Like, I have a friend.
I like that level of attention to detail. It's like it needs to have the original, shittiness. If you want to win an award.
Yeah, like
right?
One of the cars I'm shopping for right now. This time I'm going to use your podcast, man. I'm going to solicit cars to buy.
By all means, solicit away.
So, like, there are only so many manual haikus out there, right? There are like 270 some for the U.S.
Is that all?
Yeah. Huh. I think there are 278 original U.S. haiku cars. So then you've got, Ferrari 575s. So then you've got some people buying the Barchetta, 550 Barchetta.
I just saw a bunch of them 2 weeks ago sell for between $300,000 and $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's market for that car now. Especially, and maybe if it's like Titanium Grigio or TDF, even more.
The yellow one sold for like $3,000.
Was it yellow with blue?
It was
yellow with black.
Yellow black, and then there was a red tan that sold for more.
Yeah.
I love them.
All those cars are going for like good money. So I have a friend who he just bought 3 575 manuals, and he's like, I'm just going to keep the best one.
Really relatable story, bro.
But I'm gonna I'll restore all of them.
Carl, stop telling people my story.
Right?
These cars all need restoration. These cars are like 10 years old. How fucked are they? Are they?
He just wants the cars to be perfect.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Don't put that picture on the screen, Tim.
Guy.
Those people get no fucking credit. They've been ripping me off. That company has been ripping me off. Do not put that on the screen. They've been ripping me off for years.
The blue car though, that dark blue they do is awesome. Oh my god.
The blue.
You're talking about TDF?
Oh man, that's a 550, I think. But god damn, is that a hot?
That's
color.
A 456 GT.
Oh, it's a 456.
That's a 456 GTM.
From across the room, I'm sorry, it was tough to tell.
Let's talk about the 456 for a second.
I don't think the people. Can I just before we do, I'm about 8.5 feet from the screen, so I'm really sorry that I thought that was a 550, but it's hard. I'm across the room. Actually, hang on a minute.
That is
a 550.
I think that's a 550. I don't think
I think
fucked
Matt's
up.
right.
No,
I think
Matt's
that's a 550, you motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 5.
Points for Matt.
That's a 550. Eat a dick. So,
Points for Matt.
From 8 feet. From 8 feet.
from
damn
8
it.
feet. Sweet.
Colorblind like a motherfucker.
There we go.
456.
It's a good color.
The Steve Kerr of Google image search.
Have you driven a 456?
I have, and I'll tell you the one I have is a late build 95 car.
Why is
All
that?
the 1995s were manuals.
Okay.
100% of them all year. There are almost no US 96 456s.
Okay.
And then 97.
Oh, is that because they couldn't catch up to OBD2?
Not sure, but that was around that time.
It was. That's the year.
There are also no 1996 Defenders in the U.S. for that reason and because of the airbag exception paperwork.
Yeah. Well, what are U.S. 94, 95 only?
94, 95, 97.
Oh,
the
just no 96.
Yeah, and the 97s are that, like, yesterday's guacamole color, and they're all automatics.
That is a horrible color.
It's
Yesterday's
really bad.
guacamole is a really vivid description.
Have you ever seen the 456 wagon?
That's
Yeah.
it's like the Sheik's car.
There's 7
Yeah.
of them.
It's pretty
It's called
dope.
the 456 Venice.
Yeah, it is called the Venice. Yeah. Timmy, give us the 456 Venice. It's actually...
That's the only one in London that
it's
is not
dope.
that is not in Brunei.
It's dope.
So one of the Sultan's like nephews or cousins pissed him off, and he had to get rid of a lot of like custom Pininfarina.
I remember that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And this is one of the cars he had to sell, and some banker in London bought it.
I mean, I would roll that fucking thing. I have a dream of building a pro touring Lagonda. So
this car is always parked. It's always parked in SW7 or it's like around Knightsbridge. And I swear this guy has to know the guy with the Targa Singer Commission in London, because his cars are always parked near each other.
I like that Singer Targa that they build in London. That wagon is kick-ass, though. So wait, have you driven a 456 and it's nice? Or
I've driven several 456s and I really like them. So here's the drawback. You want that late 95 car because all 95s are manuals. But you don't want a 95 because Ferrari has a terrible quality control issue in 95 on the 456, where none of the cars have passenger doors that fit.
Oh no.
So at above about 45 miles an hour, you start getting crazy wind noise from the passenger side. It's bad enough that some cars...
How do you let that out of the factory? How do you... Come on.
Some cars actually had passenger door windows shatter from the level of vibration.
Wow.
So the solution was to charge customers for brand new passenger doors.
Seriously? The Ferrari has... I love
the
contempt for their customers that company has is amazing. It's great. Aston Martin is the same way, I think, but it's very, very funny.
I think Ferrari's worse. I know a guy...
So wait, if you can get a 456 that isn't a hunk of shit for like 60 grand, should you?
Yeah. For 60, for sure.
What level, I don't know about you, but I think you probably agree with me that we like to value a car on what the driving experience is, and how much is that? What is that driving experience? I've driven a 550 for comparison, and I think a 550 is a $150,000 driving experience.
Yeah. A 456 does not have that driving experience. A 456 has a better driving experience than my old DB7 GT.
Okay. DB7 GTs are not great. They look great.
They look great.
They look really good, but they don't...
And until you touch them. Right?
Yeah.
Like you sit in that... I mean, you have a Mark I Vanquish.
Yeah.
You sit in there and you're like, as much as I love this 6-inch wide Volvo valet button that's in here for no reason...
I know what you mean. I got some Volvo. I got there's some Jag in there.
Yeah.
I think we had the same
some
radio.
Second gen Focus.
Yeah,
Some
what
of
is
those
second
buttons.
gen? I don't know if I have second gen Focus. I have the Vanquish has a lot of Volvo and Jag though.
So do you remember? All right, we both got like photographic memories for Old Road and Track.
Yeah.
So there was an Ian Cullum designed but never produced car that was like in Road and Track around the time the DB7 GT came out.
Okay.
And it was like this foreshadowing of the Vanquish. It was like the Project Vantage or something.
I don't remember. Can you Google Ian Callum concept?
1997 Aston Martin Project Vantage.
1997 Project Vantage, huh? I will probably remember when I see it.
Beautiful deep green.
Have you met Ian Callum? He's a lovely gentleman.
I have met him once. That's
Is that
the car.
it?
That's the car. And
that's a Vanquish. That looks just like a Vanquish. That's basically a Vanquish's body. If you zoom in a bit, Tim, on the interior, I think the interior is more the interior is very concept-y. I wish my fucking Vanquish got that interior.
Right.
The roof is pinched in a bit, right? Isn't the real Vanquish roof wider?
This is like a little Zagato-y. It's
now that I look, the edges are a little more creased.
It's
more
are super roundy. It's
like
a little
tighter.
XKSS-ish.
But that's definitely the Vanquish concept car.
Yeah.
100%. Very neat find. I love your fucking nerdiness, dude. And thank you for sending me that Vanquish brochure. I don't know if I ever formally thanked you for the Lusso brochure.
Yeah. No worries,
man. You sent me the new Ferrari Lusso brochure, which is like this big. I got to bring it in. It's in the kitchen.
Whoa, cool.
It's cool.
It's like a record album. Their new brochures are like weird.
It's huge. That's really cool. That project. What's it called? Project Vantage?
Yeah, I think it was called Project Vantage. And that green was never offered, but I think it's a very handsome green.
Yeah. It looks like the F-type green, kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. The do you know what my favorite the 6-liter V12 that was in the Vanquish and as well as continues to today was in a concept car that Ford made called the Indigo. Remember that?
No.
Pull up a picture of the Ford Indigo concept car because it basically it looks like a sort of conceptualized Ariel Atom with a fucking V12 in it. Yeah.
Oh
there.
yeah,
Look at that.
I do remember this. Yeah.
It was such a absurd. I mean, how do you even describe it? It's open wheel, open cockpit,
Prowler-ish.
with like a crazy wings happening.
it's a Prowler F1 car.
Yeah,
It's like Prowler by Radical.
and they actually that car was a runner. A magazine tested that. It was actually a runner and I think it was Road and Track.
Nuts?
I think it was Road and Track. I don't remember. It was from like the early or middle 90s, but that was a car that drove to the point where I don't know if they did an instrumented test, but like they drove the car.
Do you think it was a real V12, or do you think it was?
It was because it's the V12. It's the one that ended up in us.
Or was it two V6s with a common crank?
I think it was a handmade version of the engine
later
that
6
became
liter.
became the 6 liter. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. What magazine is that, Tim? That was it.
Motor Trend.
It was Motor Trend. Okay, cool. Yeah, but I think they drove it.
Huh.
Such a weird and cool car, and I think it ended up in a video game as well.
I think you're right.
It was in. I don't even remember what video game it was, but
I know.
It was
and we're
cool.
only allowed to say one brand video game anyway.
Not anymore. 2018. 2018. We can talk about any video game we want.
Big fans of Rad Racer.
That's right.
It was a game like that it was in. It wasn't like a real racing game.
Yeah.
I don't think. What else? What else is going on in the world right now? So we've got the crazy Jag, the truck, this semi-secret 911.
911.
How
build,
many
yeah.
of
Yeah.
your 911s do you still have that have gone through? You have 17 that have gone through the door.
Yeah.
Do you have 0 right now other than the project?
So I'm counting like stuff my name has been on the title. So we're including like family collection here, which is like big.
There's a big family collection.
Big family
Is it in
collection.
Chicago?
Between Chicago and Seattle.
It stretches the entire distance. It's a building.
There's a hangar.
Oh, really? Lovely. Can I go?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
But includes like X-Works 935 race car, like
real heavy hitter
other
shit.
stuff, other stuff, yeah. Stuff I drive, and like I actually did. We had a 996 GT3, and I actually bought. It's probably terrible to admit on a recording, but I actually bought a 996 at the time that I never drove. I never even saw the 996 that I in theory owned. But I bought it just to get plates to put on the GT3.
Allegedly.
So that could be like a thing you could have done at the time.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Just like the guys that allegedly had Enzos and then got FXXs and then put the Enzo plate on the FXX. I actually saw that a lot in Miami. It was really, really douchey.
If you want to talk like next level weird Ferrari stuff. So most people, I think, in the car community at this point know that people who had those early 918s as part of the deal, pretty much with Porsche, got 911R orders. And
that was your first? You were first in line.
And the really friendly people with Zuffenhausen also got matching. Some people got matching trailing VINs on their 918s and 911Rs. Some people were really pissed off Porsche by then flipping their 911R, right? Because Porsche's like, oh, we just did you a favor, gave you this cool car to go along with your supercar, and you flipped it.
Yeah.
Notice Aston's not like, oh, some people flip their Toyota IQs.
Yeah. No.
They're happy they did. Like, please take the Aston badge off.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is a friend of mine has an F50, and that was his dad's, and his dad ordered it, was the original owner, and they had a racing team. And so the deal with F50, this is just crazy to me, was, oh, you race, you're a privateer racer for Ferrari. If you order a 333 SP, you get to order an F50.
Okay.
And we'll match the chassis number on the 333 SP to the F50 VIN.
Okay.
So a lot of those matching sets still exist, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, if you were rich enough to buy and race a 333 SP, you're probably rich enough to never sell
hang
it.
On to your
to hang on to both
for your companion car.
Yeah.
Sorry, 333 SP is an open cockpit race
They're
car
kick-ass.
that shares much of its drivetrain with F50.
It's one of the best sounding race cars in history. I think
Agreed.
I saw one 2 million. I think I just saw one go for 2 million.
That's believable.
It's like a Radical with a fucking V12 in it.
There's
basically.
a video of a guy running one of these at Laguna, and I think he also lets his kid drive, who's pretty young, and it's just fast as fuck. It's fast as
The spares package is insane. The original spares package that came with the car, like it's clear Ferrari intended people to race the crap out of these.
What do they have, a one make series or no? What series did they run in?
I don't think there was a dedicated series for them ever.
But they did. They raced.
Really?
Yeah. What series?
that looks
did
like like an LMP3 car or something.
Can you
That's
look
insane.
up? Can Tim? You look up what series they raced in? I feel like I should fucking know this. I feel like it was like WSC, like World Sports Car,
World
or
Challenge. It'd be too fast for World Challenge.
Maybe World Challenge. I don't. It's definitely like a endurance racing series. I think they raced at Le Mans. I think.
Wow, that's a nutty car.
It looks so good. Of course, like
Aged really well too.
yeah, like of course everyone else can make, Radical and all these other people can make a car that looks like that, but when Ferrari does it, it looks better.
Well, it looks a little bigger than a Radical, so it's I don't know.
It's way bigger. I mean, if you think
bigger.
about, if you look at the distance between the cockpit and the base of the wing support. So the base of the
that's
wing
far.
support is on top of the gearbox. So
Damn.
that distance is the length of the V12.
Right.
It is bigger.
And then,
Now
and then
that
the
you
wing goes
mention it,
way
yeah.
back. But
But
it's
still, that's
similar shape to
similar
Radical,
design.
for sure.
But now that you mention it, it is that added length that does give it, some extra.
Makes it
that
feel
and the,
serious,
That and the
yeah.
windshield, that curved windshield,
Like Can-Am.
it's gangster.
Intake above your head. That's
So pimp.
That's bananas.
Yeah. Tim, do you happen to find what series they raced in?
Real fast car.
I wonder what it's eligible for now.
Well, there's
Pebble
one.
Beach, historics for sure.
That's got a racing livery. It's
Probably
got all
good.
kinds of
There's
stuff.
probably Goodwood.
That Momo car is like the well-known car.
Yeah, that. Very fucking cool. Wait,
Cool.
your dad has one of those?
No.
Oh, that would be pimp. I actually
That would be
I do
pimp.
know two people who do have them.
That's cool.
It ran and won the 12 Hours of Sebring. I
Okay,
imagine that's not what
that's
you're thinking
serious
of,
racing.
No, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
serious
but
racing.
I'm wondering if depending on what year it wasn't like American Le Mans series or
Says it debuted in 1993.
ALMS didn't exist yet.
yeah, it's whatever ALMS was before ALMS. Tudor maybe. Tudor sports car.
One guy ran one. This guy Moretti's most remembered for his Ferrari 333. He raced in the '98 Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And won apparently.
Well, all right, it's endurance. It was
Yeah.
endurance
Endurance
racing.
racing, whatever they
it's
call the
endurance-
series at the time.
Whatever
Endurance
it was at the
GT,
time. Yeah. Fucking. If you ever get to go to Pebble Beach or Goodwood and see them race, it is the sound that comes out of those cars is so next level. It's the best.
Totally agree.
It's the
Pebble's
best.
worth it.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Pebble's a good time. If it's like, I will say this: if you
Goodwood's worth doing once.
do you Festival of Speed or Revival, which is the one that you would go to?
I would do Festival Speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just because you can stand there and just see.
Yeah, if you're with people who aren't that into cars, they get to see like stuff that excites them.
Mm-hmm. It's better for someone who's casually into
Yeah,
cars and not like super nerd. Pebble's tough if you're not a super nerd. Like I brought Hannah and she enjoyed it, but it was
I think you can do it. I think
What
you
the
do
fuck
it once.
is that?
Every,
whatever that is. That's
Oh,
a guy.
that's a stunt.
Intentional.
Nissan
yeah,
Juke.
stunt-
It's a juke
stunt
on two wheels going up the hill at Goodwood like a boss.
that guy drove the whole thing in that way. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Pretty legit.
That's what it looks like.
What is the big deal? I do in G-Wagon all the time.
Yeah, those guys are crazy.
Those guys are crazy.
They're on the highway,
Wallace?
not professional stunt drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, this is what I do with my free time.
But you would say Festival of Speed over Goodwood if you're only going to do one. Over Revival if you're only going to do one.
I feel like if you aren't a hardcore car person, Revival feels like car LARPing.
Okay.
Because period correct dress and
Fair.
everything.
Yeah.
I like the racing in it. I think the racing is crazy.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I love that about it. Whether some of the cars are replicas, some aren't replicas. I mean, the racing is nuts compared to.
I
I mean, a friend of mine, I got to not as part of the event, but as sort of an aside to the event, got to take out a friend's DB6 Superleggera last time I was there, and that is a very impressive car. I think I would own it over a DB5, which is saying a lot.
I just drove a DB5 and it was great.
Yeah,
really nice.
All those cars are great.
Yeah, it sounded good, had nice torque. It was bitching.
Gearboxes are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked. There's a dealer by my pops' place that had a really nice DB6 Vantage, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I looked at the price. Jesus, like they are so expensive.
They're real money.
Wow,
they're real money.
Like.
Yeah.
This one was only maybe like a 7. It was like good, not great, and he wanted $700,000. I was like, oh, Jesus. But okay, I'll put this down now.
I'm not surprised.
Take my tail and walk. That's the shit. That was
that is not the shit.
Yeah.
No, that's the DB5 or DB5 shooting brake.
Shooting brake.
That is unattractive.
Do you know who worked on that car? Matt Figliola of AI Design, who has appeared on the podcast before in Tuckahoe, New York. He is a genius. Go listen to that podcast. This guy he's just one of those low key DL geniuses.
He's the guy who prepped Alex's run car, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has built many, many interesting cars that you've heard of, and a lot more, even more interesting cars that you will never hear about.
I will download that because I was not there for that. But that is not attractive.
You don't like the Wagon,
No.
the DB5 shooting brake?
No.
So
I'm a fan.
So let's spend like a minute on this. Why did the two-door wagon die? There are tons of sexy two-door wagons.
I think at some point the car companies decided that if you're going to have a really usable back seat, you should just have fucking doors there.
I agree. Yeah.
It's kind of like the two-door SUV.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
the Blazers and
You don't. And I think it seems silly to be, really doing the.
If the car's
seat full.
purpose is to have this, functional space of cargo and people, like my dad had a P1800 ES, the back seat was tiny, man.
Sure,
like
yeah.
I at age 7 had to sit side saddle on the back seat. So
It's a pretty car, though.
it's a good looking car, but it's very impractical for carrying tiny children in. And yeah, if you're gonna get a wagon, like I might as well get 4 doors and have some space.
I hear you, but at the same time, I'm like, most Americans have like 3 empty seats in their car all the time.
True.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if you're going to own an Escalade and be the only person in it, which is like half of LA, then.
Range Rover.
Well, and now 2-door Range Rover.
I just saw that.
Yeah. yeah.
Well, there we go. You bring it around. Here
Yeah.
to answer your own question. Range Rover to the rescue. 2-door Rover's coming.
Yeah.
Well, you can get. I had a 2-door
Looks
Evoque
pretty
press
good,
car,
too.
which I liked, and everyone else hated, but I liked my 2-door Evoque. No, Tim, not that. There it is. Look at that. I think that might be a Photoshop.
I think you are correct.
Yeah.
Like the cars look great, and like my car, I have stuff in the back seats a lot, or 3 empty seats. But I think if you're building the cars and selling them, the number of people, the take rate on a 2-door versus 4-door wagon probably had to be tiny.
Yeah.
It's just it's this like manual's going away. It's just supply
At
and demand.
a certain point, they start doing math. They went away when they really started doing math.
Are there
psychedelics
cars
in the 70s, those went away for a little bit, and
Yeah.
then they started doing math more.
Yeah.
Like, are there cars you think about where you're like, the wagon's the one to have?
Oh yeah, 100%. CTSV last gen wagon is the one to have. E63, the wagon is the one to have.
Like B5 RS4.
Yeah, absolutely. S4 and RS4, absolutely. Even
RS6.
E30.
Yeah.
I'm a big E30. Volvo 850R.
By the way,
and
living
V70R
in
wagons.
London, all the like footballer, like millionaire footballer dudes, 100% of them drive RS6s.
Oh, that's
It's like,
a good one too.
It's like the car. RS6 Avant.
They're really
Yeah.
awesome.
Great car.
Yeah.
I mean, Hannah and I
Beast.
just went across Europe in the S7, which is
Yeah.
very, very similar.
Yeah.
And it was spectacular. Perfect car for transiting across Europe.
Totally.
It was
I mean,
great.
if your job is to show up places that have Autobahn leading to them and play soccer.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing better.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this. JF had the better choice than me, though. JF actually rented because I looked in sport sedans in the 6th rental department. JF was smart. He looked in wagons. So I got the S7, but he got the S6 Avant. So he actually had the better move, but that's because he was smarter to look at the wagons. Yeah.
The camera gear and everything also.
He had camera. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we didn't need any more space. It was
Yeah.
fine, but I still just
It
would
would've
have
been
rather
fun.
had the wagon.
Yeah.
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 Where's your favorite place to drive, Carl? You're a globetrotter. Where do you like driving?
Great question. I
There's a road in the Congo that no one ever uses. It's got the best harmony.
All right.
You guys got to go there.
So a couple things. I love. These are not going to be popular because they aren't in LA, I guess. But
no, I wasn't asking LA. Globally.
But I love the road to Snoqualmie Pass outside Seattle.
Oh yeah.
If you have a sports car and, even in the spring and fall, I mean, if the pass is open or you got snow tires on 9/11 or whatever, beautiful, beautiful place. Or you can drive up to all the way up to Snoqualmie Falls and whatever, or across Stevens Pass.
That's where Dirtfish Rally School is in Snoqualmie.
Yeah,
you could do a 2-for-1.
There you go. Those are all beautiful roads. Have you ever done Bear Claw Highway in Montana?
No, people keep telling. That's the one that people keep telling us to do. TJ Fry was just on the show and saying that was the one.
Yeah, totally worth it. I actually, a friend and I, when we got our GT3 RSs, shipped them to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh yeah, nice.
Stayed in Coeur d'Alene for the weekend and then drove back east through Montana. That's a beautiful drive.
How long is that drive?
I'd budget 2 days for it.
Okay.
If you really want to do the whole thing.
Oh, look at that. Is
2 days from Coeur d'Alene to the road, or from...
No, basically as soon as you get to the Montana border, you hit Bear Claw Highway. And it's 650 something is the... Anyway, you can look it up, the interstate number or whatever, but absolutely crazy scenes, sometimes from both sides of the road. There are pieces of granite that are like the size of a aircraft carrier sticking out of the side of the
size of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, some of these are, it looks like a nature diving board. You can walk out 200 feet, 300 feet onto these things,
and there's just nothing underneath
There's nothing underneath. It's
Whoa.
crazy.
So cool.
And all the stuff was like carved out by glaciers, millions of years ago.
What is the perfect car for the Bear Claw Highway if you don't have GT3 RS money?
I mean, it's not crazy handling. It's pretty high speed stuff.
I feel like you need someone with good sound to bounce off those walls.
Yeah.
I feel like you want something with a good engine.
Something with a good V8.
Car.
Small V8.
Like an RS4 convertible.
No.
B7 RS4 convertible. They're
I'm
rare.
not going there. I know they are.
They're sweet. No one likes those.
I have a bad taste. When I was a valet, a girl pulled in with one of those, and I was like, "Whoa, cool, RS4." And she was like, "Yeah, I got it because I like the interior." And I was just like, "Poof." So
at least she could drive stick. They only came in stick.
I mean, you want to do a budget pull. I mean,
that's a good section right there. Look at that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a real quality section right there.
It's like you want to do a budget pull, I don't know, for $50,000 for something that's reliable enough to take on that trip.
Right.
And fun enough and makes the right kinds of noises according to Matt Farrer. What do you buy?
996 turbo.
Wrong sound for me.
No?
Nah. Corvette, maybe fit for 50.
E92 M3
E92
sedan.
M3 sedan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, possibly. I think, or CTSV wagon, manual. Yeah, something like that.
CL63.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good one.
Yeah.
A nice big cruisy Merc. I just saw like 2008, 2009 CL65s at Barrett.
Oh, yeah.
Going for like the low 20s.
Oh yeah, those cars depreciate like sushi.
That's a good line. Somebody just sent me a picture of like a S500 they bought, like an 02. Like, hey, I bought this as a project car, and like the air suspension was fully blown out. I was like, oh, good luck. It's a rough used car, man. That car will beat your fucking.
We got to convert the air suspension to something else.
Yeah, they have this thing called a Strutomatic now.
Huh?
Which is a standard strut replacement.
Oh, okay.
Standard strut replacement.
I can't believe the word "omatic" is still attached to things.
I think it's the same kit you can get on a Range Rover. I think they replaced the air suspension on old.
It just sounds like it was made by the Easy Bake
that have
janky ass HSEs.
Yeah.
There's a dude who I know, Sam. He lives right up the road from me. He came to Radwood, who has like the mintest 97 HSE. It's like a special edition of some kind. I don't. It's not like the Holland and Holland edition, but it's like something like that. And it has the picnic kit in the back.
Like no, for sure.
Oh, that's right. The guy was parked next to us.
Yeah, that is Sam, and it is the last nice one of those on Earth. Oh, Jesus, Zach.
Oh, can you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah.
There was a weird period in Range Rover history where they made the 4-liter and then the 4.6, and they were still making the Range Rover Classic
At the same time. Yeah,
which
95,
is crazy.
95, beginning of 96. They're a strange company. I'm stoked with where they're at now, minus the Evoque convertible, which I could do without.
No, I think Tata is doing a great job with both those brands. Did you know the story behind the Holland and Holland thing?
I mean, I know what it is. Is there a story that needs to be told behind it? Educate me if you know it.
I know part of it. So, there are these 3 big French luxury houses, right? So you got LVMH, Hermes, Chanel. And Chanel has this whole attitude. So I went to a meeting in Paris where Chanel execs there, and they had a picture of a guy and a girl speeding along in a black Range Rover. And they're like, this is our target market. And they're like, we already own her spending, the chick in the passenger seat, right?
I love that statement.
Right?
We own her spending.
We just need to own this guy's spending. And then they had this chart that was mind-blowing of brands that they either own or would aspire to purchase.
Okay.
And so, anyway, shortly after that, Chanel bought Holland & Holland.
Oh, Chanel owns Holland & Holland? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they own a bunch of other, male-centric luxury brands to try to capture...
That is very funny.
This is really interesting.
Oh. Wait, Tim, that's a Bentayga.
Yes, and this is a $32,000 picnic option.
Awesome. Did you just search picnic option?
That's pimp.
Is that like an
very
electronically chilled champagne area?
Can you zoom in on what's actually in that picnic option? Can we see it? I see. 2 champagne bottles. Right? Are those the champagne flutes in the middle?
Glasses in the center.
I'm glad we zoomed in. I thought that was like a watch winding rack.
Probably a blanket of some kind on the right. And
for all your Bentley by Breitling shit.
Yeah.
And a flip open quilted leather seating.
Wait, actually,
That's awesome.
champagne flutes are next to the bottles. I'm not sure what's in the center.
Probably silverware.
Silverware? Yeah.
Crystal.
That's real pimp. It looks like it's motorized too. The tray, right? The whole thing comes out and becomes a table, I bet.
So there was a concept car.
Can you get the Holland & Holland Range Rover?
So there was a concept car called the Avantismo that was supposed to be like the ultimate Audi wagon. Do you remember this?
I do remember this.
It had some really interesting...
Avantissimo!
It was like an A8 wagon.
Yeah.
And had some really interesting features, including, if I remember correctly, the floor of the wagon part was like a conveyor belt. So you could load stuff and send it
and send it in. Yeah.
Which seemed actually kind of cool.
Yeah, they put a treadmill in the car.
Yeah.
It's very clever.
I mean, if you can have an Odyssey with a vacuum cleaner in it, why not?
Yeah,
right?
Still weighs less than a Challenger Hellcat wide body.
And that way you don't have to lift something far into the thing, hurt your back, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Wait, forget the Range Rover. Can you find that? The Audi I think it's Avantissimo.
I think
Avantissimo.
This was
they
when
must have worked with Touring or something, right?
No, I think this was back when Jaguar was their in-house people, right?
Oh man, 0 results on Google.
Probably spelled wrong.
You missed the N.
Avantissimo.
There it goes.
Because Etel designed.
Look at that! Yeah. What a sexy motherfucker that is.
Headlights are weird, but it's
pretty bold, pretty forward-looking.
Good-looking car.
What year was this designed in?
That looks like before the A6 got round, right?
Yeah, it's 01.
Oh no, this was they had the A6. The A6 was already round.
It was when they were transitioning. It was still a little bit geometric round. I remember that. Yeah.
Look at
that. Big square lights in the back for everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
It's very pretty. I don't see a motorized floor.
I don't think that's.
But that.
I think that may be a different.
No. Look, the whole tailgate is out.
Oh yeah, look
You're
at that.
right.
Wow.
It's a split rear like the Range Rover.
That's pimp.
So it's not.
You can load it from the side and then that's pimp.
That's cool.
The VW camper vans where the whole fucking back slides out.
Yeah. That's gangster. I wonder what chic owns that thing.
And never drives it.
Never.
It's in the back of Birdman's garage.
I like. Do you think he really has that Maybach?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that's bullshit, right?
I think it's bullshit.
Remember that? The Maybach, the Accelero concept that was like the coolest looking car ever made?
Yeah.
And apparently Birdman bought it for $8 million. But
What?
that was the word.
He does have the Superman G-Wagon.
He does.
That I actually have seen cruise around Atlanta.
The red one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Maybach. Does that have a real plate on it?
No, it's not.
Can you find any picture with Birdman actually driving that? I don't think. I think it's bullshit, dude. I don't think he actually bought it, but apparently the word was he paid $8 million for it. But I don't even think Mercedes could legally sell that.
Right. That'd be the
Not
thing.
as a street car.
No, they could sell it on bill of sale, but like,
You'd sell it like they sell the Vulcans.
yeah, bill of sale, right?
Right,
It's a
yeah.
race car.
Yeah.
Apparently, some shop
Crazy.
converted a Vulcan to street use.
They
I
just
don't know.
rebodied a DB9 with the Vulcan bodywork.
No, they took an actual Vulcan and did some things. It was like a 10-minute
They
video.
motor-X'd it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Let me
what it
know
was.
how that works out when the EPA shows up.
I didn't want to watch the video, and no one fucking wrote a summary. I don't watch video. You don't. You're like we don't have. We're busy people. We don't have time to watch videos on the internet. So what's next for you, Carl? Before we wrap, did we have a couple questions from Facebook? Not really.
Everyone just really likes your Jaguar.
Oh,
And that was like, there was 5 comments for that. It was like, I love that car. It's like, okay.
Carl's a man of mystery.
Yeah.
What's next for you, buddy?
What's next? Build the 911. This might be the year I finally buy a Miura SV.
Oh,
I've been in the market.
casual drop.
I've been in the market for like 5 years. I could have bought. I mean, you know what the market's done. I could have bought one.
How many SVs are there? There's not very many.
There's not many, but I don't like the S.
What's wrong with the S?
I'm not into the eyelashes thing and the whatever.
Oh, the SV loses the eyelashes,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Here,
Look
can
at
we pull
that.
up a picture of Miura?
Look
SV?
at
Yeah.
that. In that metallic mint green color.
That's good.
You see the Montreal has some connection to that, right?
Yep.
The Gandhi design.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle, flowy, curve to it. It's not too steep.
I'll tell you what, where the
Confusingly,
Montreal really looks like the
pistachio is the
Miura
other
is from
green.
inside. When you're sitting in it, they're a lot more
Interesting.
similar. Yeah, the view out the windshield is kind of the same. Wait, so
I mean,
what's wrong with
that's like the boyhood like dream, and I'm like, okay, I'm finally in a place where like I could buy a Miura.
other than
If you can,
the
do.
eyelashes? Is there a difference? I mean, there's more power and etc. But
Yeah,
I mean,
they're better built.
Oh.
They're better built. They're like detectively better built. As far as what else is next, we're building Haystack, which is a cool new search engine company.
we forgot to talk about
That's
that.
all right.
Do you want to plug it?
Don't worry about it.
No, it's just for we'll do it for a
Haystack.
minute.
We're just @Haystack on Twitter. Follow us. We're building really cool search engine tech, and just because it's Matt's show, I'm going to say this: if you searched for porn in the past week, you probably used our technology.
I saw. No, I went to
Porn
when I
does it-
went to
porn does it
Haystack.
first,
It's like
right?
we're used by Pornhub. Like great, I'll
So-
take that. It's a huge company.
Porn adopts tech first. It's funny.
So yeah, we've been building really cool stuff, mostly for audio and video libraries. And I started a search engine startup years ago. Had some good luck, got some backing from Google, and whatever worked out really well. And now we're taking another run at it with some new technology and some new people, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, we're @Haystack on Twitter, and we're haystack.ws if you still go to websites. And thanks, yeah. No,
Full
we're-
disclosure: I'm technically on the advisory board. I think
Matt is one of our advisors. Yeah, so we
I haven't been asked to do anything.
we tried to get that's the best gig.
That's why
right?
it still works.
That's the best gig. Yeah, no, we've tried to get people who are content creators as well as people who are content curators onto the advisory board. So we have current or former executives from Twitter, YouTube, Pandora, Facebook, learning how they handle their content and making sure that we're doing a good job with it. So, that's kind of what's next. Figuring out the final bits of ordering a 718 GTS for Hannah as a daily.
So that'll be great.
So yeah, I think that'll be a fun daily. Probably PTS Mexico.
Mexico Blue?
Yeah.
Mexico Blue is a good color.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not, is it Miami? What's the Miami Blue?
Miami
They have-
Blue is even brighter.
Miami Blue is really bright.
Yeah.
But have you looked into? Is it Dalmatian? It's Dalmatian Blue, right? Oxford Blue is also called Dalmatian Blue.
Huh.
It's badass.
All right.
It's very deep and rich. Is that right? Dalmatian blue? Oxford blue 911, Tim. Is that correct? That's it. Oxford blue.
This one?
No, that one, yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's a lovely
that's
color.
a nice color.
It's a lovely color. Thanks, Karl.
You bet.
Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming
This has
down.
been fun.
This is very fun.
Yeah.
And we'll have you again next time on the watch show. Because that's a whole other you brought watches and you're like, we can talk about watches. Like, we can't talk about watches in this room.
That's
we have to
okay.
go in that room for that. Right, audience?
Well, you're also killing the content for the other show. You know.
I know. I need
Yeah.
to double dip every
You
time.
don't wanna blow your wad,
Can't
right?
pre-run that stuff.
Double dip all the way through. Thank you,
Cool.
buddy.
Thanks for
Smoking
having me.
Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. I went out and got my own Watch and Listen podcast, which is now available at Shout Engine, iTunes, search Watch and Listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Overcast, and anywhere you get.
And how
your
was that
podcasts.
process of getting it up to those things?
Super fucking easy. Super like within 24 hours of hitting live on the first episode on Shout Engine, I was live on all those other platforms.
Awesome.
Actually less. 12 hours. Within 12 hours I was live on all those platforms and all I had to do was, for the easiest one was Apple, I had to click one button. And then for the hardest one was Google Play, I had to copy and paste a URL. That was the hardest thing I had to do. Easy. Even an idiot like me can start a podcast on Shout Engine because Hayes started this one. So I had to start the other one. I was like, oh no, what do I do? The good news is it's actually easy. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Cool. Thanks.